You mention in your book a well-known phenomenon, which is the more intelligent that one is, the better they become at rationalizing their beliefs. So, for those of us who read a lot, learn a lot, what can we do to not fall victim to this kind of pattern of rationalizing, and how can we stay open to adjusting our beliefs more
Oh, that's
readily?
so good.
Or is it that actually that the more we do it, it's just that's we our beliefs become kind of stronger and it becomes more difficult, like as your library grows and grows, you're just like less willing to let go of certain books or certain
Look,
ideas.
I hate to break it to you, dear listener, but there's no way out of this game. Um, let's say, let's assume that almost everybody has legs. All right, we had to design cars for the fact that human beings have legs. We could make a much better car if we didn't have to worry with the whole legs thing. But we end up having to put a chair in this thing to sit in, to toot around and go places in our cars. Likewise, human beings have biases. We're subject to fallacious reasoning, and we are heuristical reasoners. We go with what's the fastest and least energy consuming thoughts and constructions and judgments over the ones that may take a little effort. We're social primates. We almost everything we do is concerned about how it's going to affect our reputations. These are just elements of what it is to be a human being. Like, we can't escape that. That's the game we're born into. The but there's no reason to look at all that and go, well, we're flawed, illogical, and silly, and there's no reason to be pessimistic and cynical about our natures just because that's how we are. It'd be like lamenting that we have to have that we have legs. It's part of it. And just as we have legs and fingernails and feet and toes, we have to design a world around the fact that that is our sort of default setting, our default format. And we're deeply nuanced. I don't mean to be ableist here. We're deeply nuanced, and people come in many shapes and sizes, cognitively as well. So one of the things that's true, given all that, is the smarter you are, whatever that means, we can debate what smartness means, but let's assume it's a thing that exists. The smarter you are, and the more educated you are, the evidence is very clear that the better you become at justifying and rationalizing whatever it is you already think, feel, and believe. All that assimilation and accommodation stuff we're talking about, you become really good at it. And if you're deeply motivated to take on a certain perspective, or you're deeply motivated to engage in a certain behavior, you become astonishingly great the more educated and intelligent you are at coming up with a reason to go do it. It's like, when you want a piece of cake, you'll find a reason to go get the cake. And the smarter you are, the more clever you'll be at figuring out a way to get that cake, that even if you know you shouldn't have it, right? There's something in psychology called motivated reasoning. I'm sure you're familiar with it, but the simplest way I like to look at motivated reasoning is, when somebody's falling in love with someone and you ask them why do you like that person? Why are you falling in love with them? They'll come up with reasons. I'm using this as an example to explain reasoning because it's important to answer your question this way. In psychology, the reasoning is coming up with reasons for for stuff. It's just coming up with reasons. It's not the big R reason of philosophy with propositional logic and those sorts of things. That's a thing that's real, but reasoning is not that. And what reasoning is just coming up with justifications and rationalizations, reasons. And we come up with reasons because we're social primates, and we won't really commit to any thought, feeling, or behavior or plan of action unless we feel like our peers will consider what we're doing reasonable. We're very concerned with how this will look to others. Even in isolation, we're doing that. So that being said, when you ask somebody, why do you like this person that you're falling in love with, they'll come up with these reasons like the way they talk, the way they walk, the way they cut their food, the music they've introduced me to, the way even the clothes they wear. I like the clothes they wear. So now later on, they're breaking up with that person. You ask them, why are you breaking up with that person? And they'll say things like the way they talk, the way they walk, the way they cut their food, the dumb music they make me listen to, and the stupid clothes they wear. So the essence of motivated reasoning is reasons for can easily become reasons against when the motivation to search for those reasons changes. And in this case, the motivation that's changed is the emotional state that I feel, the affect that comes over me when I imagine myself with this person. And that motivates me to go search for all the information around me, for pluck things out of that. I cherry pick things that seemed like reasonable justifications for me not being with that person. And astonishingly, it can be the exact same things you picked before for the other thing, right? So we see people doing that all the time. Like, why do you believe that we didn't land on the moon? Why do you believe the earth is flat? Why are you against certain immigration policies? How do you feel about gun control? And what people will typically do is go search for all the information available to them, cherry pick that which seems like a fact, and it could be a fact. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. It's just a thing that I can use to justify and rationalize the emotional state I have in the presence of this issue. The smarter you are, and the more educated you are, the easier that becomes. And you become really great at it. And you can basically argue yourself into anything, even if it's something harmful or just plain not true. So what do we do about that? Your question is, given that, is say, how do I stop doing that? Well, you can't. You can't stop doing that. But you can create a sort of you can create a mental practice that acknowledges you can't stop doing that. So it's more like we can't stop getting old and we can't stop gaining weight, but we can create a practice around ourselves to mitigate the effects of those things. And if you're a pilot, you have a checklist. You don't trust yourself as a pilot to go, oh yeah, I've done this. I've been doing this for 20 years. I press this button, I press that button, and I point it that way, and I could do this in my sleep. Now, you run through the checklist, and you have somebody sitting next to you who makes sure you ran through the checklist. Will Storr, my good friend Will Storr, who writes books similar to mine, he gave me this thought experiment that I say every chance I get. This is my big Johnny Appleseed proselytizing thing. Here's what I would like you to do if this bothers you. If you think, I'm a super smart person, I care about this, at a minimum, I'd like to be a good critical thinker, then do this. For whatever issue you're exploring, whatever issue you're discussing, whatever you're reading about, ask yourself, am I right about everything? And if your answer is no, first of all, if your answer is yes, well, whoa, like you may be one of, and I get this. I'm sure you're like this too. Like when you were younger and you were first coming online in these places, and you were that insufferable dude who's like needed to be the smartest guy in the room, and it was like actually, or no, that person, like, it's a phase. I hope you go through it and get out there and go to the other side of it. If not, politics is right there for you. Politics is a great profession. So ask yourself this question it could be about literally everything. This could just be you have a meditation practice, and this is just you thinking to yourself about your entire existence. But let's say you're thinking about one issue in particular. You ask, am I right about everything? If the answer is no, then ask yourself, well, then what am I wrong about? And if your answer is, well, I don't know what I'm wrong about. If I knew what I was wrong about, I'd be right about it. Then ask yourself, why don't you know what you're wrong about and what you do to change that? That is a great practice to go into any issue so you can maintain that humility that I think is important. And then go even one step further and offer that to the people on the other side of the conversations you're going to have. Even offer that to people whose works you may be reading who you disagree with. Offer that epistemic humility, both to yourself and to others, and then wade into these things and in a way that allows you to build an actual, real, your version, nuanced understanding of an issue with the acknowledgement that you'll never, ever be an expert or a master of anything. That's impossible. But you could acknowledge that and then build a foundation that is curious and open to learning at all times from everyone, every single chance you get. And now you have now everyone becomes incredibly valuable. I know that this is true for me personally. There's no one everyone I interact with, I feel like this person has another bit of the secret. This person has another piece of the puzzle. This person is going to show me what I'm wrong about in some way. And once you switch gears to like trying to figure out what you're wrong about all the time, for me, it's very empowering.